how you guys doing? Honey, is not looking good. I know a lot of you guys wanted to know who is the 6-year-old that is coming forward. A lot of people were shocked. A lot of people were saying, I don't believe the claims that this 60-year-old boy was at the Diddy party. Well, honey, we have the guy here. He is grown now, and he says that Diddy was wrapping his hands around him, hugging him all types of ways that made him feel uncomfortable. And he still have nightmares to this day. He is still dealing with so many mental illness from today, from when Diddy did to him. So this is him. He's going to tell you himself. And they're saying that Diddy had all types of auditions, because you guys know Diddy did clothing, right? And he had a kids line. And when these little boys and girls come in for audition, he did the unthinkable to these kids, okay? So a lot of these kids that are grown now, they are coming forward and they want their payday too. And they're speaking their truth, okay? So I want you guys to listen to him and listen to the story that we have with this. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe here at the Messy Sweet Spot. All right, let's see what he has to say.
I don't know the exact definition, but he put his arm around me in an uncomfortable way.
Diddy behind bars facing federal charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. He denies all claims of sexual abuse, including against minors. Disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs was famous for holding his annual 4th of July party in the Hamptons. All of the well-known partygoers wore white, and it wasn't exactly a family-friendly event. Now imagine you're a 6-year-old kid and you find yourself a guest there. Allison Hall has more.
Can you believe this 6-year-old boy was once a guest at Diddy's infamous white party? The disgraced mogul has his arm draped around a young Justin Liptowski back in 1999. Justin is now 31 and tells Inside Edition about taking that photo.
He put his arm around me in an uncomfortable way, close to areas that you shouldn't as a grown man.
He recalls what he saw at the party.
So I remember marijuana, and topless women. That's the two main things that I remember.
So how'd he end up there? Well, his father, David Allen, was Diddy's photographer, snapping pictures of partygoers in the Hamptons. Justin's mom, Maya, was also there. She says the party was family-friendly at first, but then turned raunchy.
People were getting high. There were girls swimming topless, young-looking girls that were, not dressed. We moved to another part of the house so that he wouldn't be exposed to what was going on.
In later years, Diddy implemented a curfew for children.
The kids have like an hour left, so get extra comfortable. But this thing turns into something that when y'all get older, y'all don't want to come to.
I think he's a monster.
This week, Houston-based lawyer Tony Busby says more than 120 people are coming forward with claims Diddy sexually abused them.
Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15.
Did Diddy assault you in any way?
Wow. Wow, that is a lot.
In a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her ankle, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and her shoes.
Every time we think this case with Diddy can't get no worse, something new comes up and it's somehow still new. Despite everything we heard about this demon, this comes after 120 victims came out a few days ago with their own individual lawsuits accusing Diddy of S. These victims included grown men and women, teenagers, and literal children as young as 9 years old, and even a whole pregnant woman. Absolutely nobody was safe from Diddy, and this right here is more than enough proof of that. Apart from the multiple substance he was shoving into all these victims against their will, he had an entire line of other demonic men, and they all took turns in continuously essaying all these people, including the kids, who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants. As we file these individual cases, chill without talking too much. Let's just get right into it. Cause it's a whole lot to unpack here and why all definitely going to be discussed. All this went down a few days ago when a Texas-based attorney, Tony Busby, held a press conference and revealed that he was going to represent over 120 new accusers. Who did he allegedly assait in the last 20 years? Tony said a lot of high-profile celebrities were also incriminated in the cases of his clients, and he ain't going to hold back from mentioning any of them by name, no matter how high-profile or famous the person is. The day will come when we will name names other than CCOM. It's a long list already, and of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are, and I'm talking here about not just the cowardly, but complicit bystanders. That is those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. And I'm talking about the people that participated they know who they are. Tony also went on to detail exactly how all these victims were violated by Diddy, and it's honestly disgusting. According to Tony, Diddy used his usual tactic, which is to invite these unsuspecting people to his parties. And once he gets them to be comfortable, he gives them drinks that are heavily spiked with different kinds of substances. So he makes them drink till they pass out. Once they're unconscious, he undresses them, violates, and plays with their bodies, and then passes them over to have their way with them too. As if that's not humiliating enough to his victims, he would record them and then scare them into silence by threatening to unalive or leak the videos. So mind you, some of these victims were literally under 18 years old. In fact, to be precise, 60 of his victims were male, 60 were female, and 25 were the alleged misconduct, were money, the alleged deal being 9 years old. There is a common theme, an MO, if you will. Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink reported by these victims is apparently laced. Once that drink takes effect, the perpetrators perform all kinds of acts on the victims, many times passing him or her around, as other people watch and enjoy the show and then leave the victim ashamed, confused, injured, and wondering what happened. When the victim reaches out, he or she is told not to say anything. Sometimes there are threats of all physical violence or financial repercussions or bodily harm. The claims we intend to bring will include the following: facilitated with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling conduct, dissemination of video recordings, false imprisonment. Now, this is where things get even more disturbing, because Tony went on to describe in graphic detail how exactly did he got a hold of some of these victims. And this included the 9-year-old and the pregnant woman I was talking about. The first was a 22-year-old woman who claimed that the rule in Diddy's parties was that if they gave you a drink and you ain't take it, you'd be kicked out immediately. This made a lot of people feel pressure to take these drinks despite not knowing what exactly was in them. By the time they wake up, they find themselves in bed without any clothes and severe pains. In fact, the most popular that they found was at these parties, and almost all 125 accusers' stories were horse tranquilizers. Yeah, well, I heard that right. Diddy real crusty self was out here giving people, including kids, horse tranquilizers so he could sleep with them without their consent. I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were with some sort of, that was kind of the MO. Another instance of this individual, who was 9 years old at the time, was taken to an audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were, this individual allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio, in the promise to both his parents and to himself of getting a record deal. Now, there's been a lot of reports that we're filing a class action. This is not a class action. Class actions when one or two people file a case on behalf of a group of people. That's not this. These cases will be individual cases. Each case will live and die on its own merit. These cases will be filed individually, one plaintiff against whoever the defendants were involved in the case. Each case may be filed in one venue like California. Another case may be filed in New York. One case may sue just Sean Combs, but according to Tony, Diddy's 9-year-old victim, Victor auditioned to get a record deal with Bad Boy Records. But by the time he left, he had been essayed by both Diddy and several other men in the studio. And according to the little boy, Diddy convinced his parents to keep their mouths shut by promising to give him that record deal he initially came to audition for, that he would make him a star, but he needed a visit with him in private about it away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform upon him. Another incident, an individual 15 years old at the time flown to New York City to attend a party. But this 9-year-old wasn't even the only that Diddy essayed, because there was another accuser who claims that when he was still a kid, he also tried auditioning to get signed. But Diddy said he would only sign him if he came over to his house for a private meeting. Once the poor boy arrived at the house with his parents, Diddy pulled him into a private room by himself and made the boy perform oral actions on him. Allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual was, and then other individuals took turns. Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up allegedly by Mr. Combs. There was another child, this time a 15-year-old girl, and according to her, Diddy flew her out to New York for a party, but she was and then allegedly taken to a private room where Diddy had his way with her. And then after he was done, made his entourage also do the same. And several other people in a black SUV from the airport was given one drink in the SUV and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her anus, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and shoes. Then there was another victim who claimed she was 26 at the time of the sight. And according to her, Diddy and his goons picked her up at the airport and gave her a drink in the car that made her pass out. Once she woke up the next day, she was completely naked and felt major pain in her private areas. This time not in was attended a group dinner, allegedly with Sean Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant, but whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out and she woke up in the same bed, again, allegedly. With Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami, her and her aunt were torn and sore. And then there was the pregnant woman who was allegedly also saved. She said she attended Diddy's party, but she wasn't drinking none of them hard drinks that they had because she was pregnant. However, according to her, this soft drinks and glass of water that she took were laced with something too. She blacked out, and by the time she woke up, she was in Diddy's bed with her private parts in severe pain from what that man did to her. Was attended a group dinner, allegedly with Sean Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant. But whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out and she woke up in the same bed again, allegedly with Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami. Her vagina and her A were torn and sore. There was another 20-year-old who claimed she was minding her business when Diddy and his people pulled up to her on the street and invited her to a party. And I mean, Diddy was a big deal at the time, so she accepted the invitation and went to said party. However, by the time that she left, she was severely overloaded with all kinds of substances that she had never taken in by herself. When she went to the hospital to get it checked out, she was filled with in huge doses of horse tranquilizers. A very young man told us over the phone about his experience, all the things that happened to him, he says, allegedly at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and his friends. And think about it. These is just the stories of 7 out of these 125 new accusers. And the reason why Tony even took these cases is because these 125 accusers have hardcore proof of what happened to them. all the way from hospital records, security camera footage, and witness accounts. Tony even went as far as giving people a hotline to call if they're also a Diddy victim. In my career, at least, we represent thousands of survivors of, and never ever in a 10-day period have we seen over 3,000 people come forward. So this conduct has created a mass of individuals who are insecure and scared. If you're one of those individuals, we ask you to reach out, if not to us, to someone you trust. If you're someone who witnessed any of these events, and before I'll start commenting, for me, these aren't my words. I'm just here to report the tea and tell y'all all what's going on.
All right, honey. So comment. I want to know what you guys think about this. This is a lot to take in, you guys. I'm so sorry for all the young people that Diddy has done this to. My heart goes out with you guys. Make sure you guys like, share, and comment. And make sure you subscribe, okay? And I'll see you guys on another video. Bye.